here we are outside the United Nations building with Christian Ciobanu.
Yes.
Tell us what you've been doing, Christian.
Yeah, so I work for the Nuclear Age Peace Foundation as their New York and youth representative, and I focus a lot on empowering young people in the field of nuclear disarmament, as well as looking at the nexus between disarmament and climate change.
Bravo.
Yeah, so on Monday we had a conference at NYU in which we had 35 students in attendance, and they learned about the relationship and the intersections of climate and nuclear disarmament, especially in terms of what's happening. You know, we have in Greenland, the situation is as the temperatures rise, the glaciers are melting, and many of you may not know this, but we have nuclear waste there, and as it melts, the waste may enter and contaminate the oceans. And the students also learned about the Marshall Islands and what's happening in their region. In the Marshall Islands, there's this dome where the U.S. put the majority of its waste in. After it, completed, after it did like a series of nuclear tests there from the late 1940s, 50s for several years. So as a result of the nuclear waste in that dome, there's been a lot of concerns that, radiation and contamination is going to leak out into the ocean. And in fact, a lot of studies, especially most recently by Columbia University, found out that the dome is cracking and leaking, and it's going into the water. And they've actually been measuring the radioactive isotopes in the area, and they found this other site, atoll, in the Marshall Islands, where it has the same level of this particular plutonium isotope as in the dome. So the conclusion is that that island has also been used as like a secret, nuclear dumping site, if you will, by the United States. So these are really real issues for the Marshallese.
Yeah.
And every day they see the water rising up and up.
Yeah.
And they have to repair, the seawalls. They have to really protect themselves. So they're very concerned about what's going to happen to the dome.
Yeah.
And when it cracks, it's going to,
So how come you know all this about the Marshall Islands? Tell them about your role
So
there.
my background with the Marshall Islands is that when I was with in the beginning of my work with Nuclear Age Peace Foundation, we worked very closely with this really fantastic and very strong activist named Tony DeBroom. He was very vocal, very strong on climate change. Some of you may have heard of the High Ambition Coalition that he established with 90 countries, both from low-income and high-income states. And they came together to maintain, they agreed that the global temperature should, maintain 1.5 Celsius.
Right.
And that was something that he was really well known. Plus, he witnessed the nuclear tests of Castle Bravo when he was younger.
Yeah.
So he had a very strong, very vocal opposition against, nuclear testing. And then through him, I got a recommendation to help out the Marshall Islands during their meetings at the UN, such as the NPT Review Conference in 2015, and then doing negotiations on the Treaty on the Prohibition of Nuclear Weapons, looking closely at victims' assistance, environmental remediation, and also user obligations.
Right.
Obligations that the nuclear weapon states have.
So you were actually sitting in the chairs with them as
I was sitting
one of the young
closed
people
rooms.
in the
Yes,
in
and
the negotiations.
and I think that's really important, and that's something that was emphasized in the Youth Declaration at the Climate Summit. The youth came together and they emphasized the importance of having young people as part of the delegations, submitting working papers and then giving advice to delegates. The delegates can really understand how young people feel, because there's a fear that, even if we organize many, many youth events at the UN, sometimes they don't translate over to the high level meetings.
Right.
So this is a way of bridging and forming the connections.
And so what was happening here on Monday? Can you tell us about that? So this is the climate
SDGs.
Oh, SDGs, right.
Yeah.
Tell us about that and about
So on Monday, so let me just rewind a bit.
Okay.
So on Saturday was the Youth Climate Summit.
Oh yes, that's Saturday, yeah.
Yeah, and there was hundreds of youth came, and it was really organized for young people. And there was an array of speakers, including entrepreneurs, as well as those who have been affected by climate. So specifically from the Marshallese, from Fiji, and other South Pacific states. And they came together and they discussed these issues. There was actually a very special Q&A called Intergenerational Town Hall Dialogue with the president of the Marshall Islands, as well as other high-level officials. And they talked to the students, and the students shared their concerns and their views of how they can deal with climate. And it was very inspiring to see so many young people taking action. And at the end, the young people wrote a declaration in which they, reaffirmed they need to be able to have a voice at the negotiations. They need to be heard, because there was a fear that they wouldn't necessarily, their discussions wouldn't translate over to Monday's discussions on climate action. But, we managed to do it, and Greta Thunberg really pushed the states and made them think about, they have to take action. They have to deal with the situation now. And I think she said that she should have, she explained that she shouldn't even have to be there. She should be, in school.
Right.
But she had to make, this case for, state officials to, understand. And this action is going to continuously, grow. And we see that in the nuclear disarmament field. Many young people want to become activists, and they can become activists by organizing events at their schools, changing the discussions about how nuclear weapons are discussed there, as well as connecting with organizations so they can attend UN meetings and really engage with diplomats one-on-one.
So just to remind you, we're just outside the UN building here in New York with Christian Ciobanu, who's had a lot of experience with both the climate issue and with the nuclear weapons issue. And
yes.
He was the youth, what was your title again?
Yeah, so with the Nuclear Age Peace Foundation, I'm the New York and youth representative. And then I helped the Nuclear Age Peace Foundation in Geneva as a Geneva and youth rep. And then on the Marshall Islands delegation, I was their disarmament advisor, I would say.
Right, great.
And helping them.
Great. Well, thanks so much,
Yes.
Christian. Any final thoughts for the students at UMass tonight?
So don't give up. So even if you think that it's a daunting issue, if these things that you feel over your head, you can take action, and you can really take immediate action to improve the world. Even one small action that you do in your community can make a difference.
Great.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay.